John Reeves thinks rotting cabbage will feed him through winter. The man's lost his mind.
Laugh now. Winter has a way of teaching men what real hunger is.
The crowd erupted in laughter. John turned his back, Anna waiting at the edge of the square. They walked the frozen road to the farmhouse in silence, the first frost already crusting the ground.
Father, do you truly believe the crocks will hold? What if something goes wrong?
I've seen it work before. The salt and the weight keep the rot at bay. Trust the old ways, Anna.
He lifted the cellar door. Lantern light spilled down the stone steps, and the earthy smell of fermentation rose to meet them.
It smells alive, not like rot at all.
Alive is exactly what it is. That bubbling sound is the only thing standing between a full belly and a frozen winter.
The cellar was a different world from the town's mockery, a world of living preservation, waiting for the cold to prove those who laughed wrong. Weeks before the frost, John and Anna worked the garden from dawn until the light failed.
Every head we pull is another meal that will still be good when the snow is 6 feet deep. The secret is salt.
The town says salting cabbage is a waste of good food, that it will spoil before December.
Inside the kitchen, Anna shredded cabbage under her father's watchful eye, salt crystals falling like a promise.
I understand the salt, but how can a vegetable live without freezing? Is it not the same as burying roots?
The salt draws water from the cabbage, making its own brine. Then we pack it tight so no air can touch it. No air, no rot. Inside the brine, a hidden life begins. It changes the cabbage without destroying it. It preserves.
He sealed the heavy crock with a stone weight and a wooden lid. Within days, bubbles would rise through the brine like breath through water.
And you truly believe this will keep when the root cellars freeze? Even Stephen's fancy preserves won't last forever.
The cold is not the enemy. It's the spoilage before the freeze. When winter comes, you'll see, these crocks will feed us.
The first killing frost turned the valley white, while root cellars across town betrayed their keepers.
Frozen solid. Every last potato. What will we eat now?
In John's cellar, the crocks murmured with life. He felt the faint vibration of fermentation beneath his palm.
The crocks are holding, just as they should.
But the neighbors are losing their stores. I heard talk of families with nothing left.
They chose mockery over preparation. We did what we could.
Let Reeves keep his rot. My preserves will outlast any bubbling crock. Croft's goods stays reliable.
Father was right. The cold means nothing. The crocks are alive while others freeze.
John's cellar remained a living storehouse, while others counted losses. The town still laughed, louder to drown out what they refused to see.
Let them laugh. Winter hasn't shown its teeth yet.
The frost deepened, and root cellars became tombs for hopes of winter meals. Every morning, another family uncovered loss.
The Miller children were crying. Father, their cellar is a block of ice. Everything gone.
I am sorry for them, but we warned the town. They chose mockery.
Reeves hoards while decent people starve. He filled his cellar with rot, and now he won't even trade.
You speak loudly, Stephen, but a man has the right to his own harvest.
The accusation rippled through the town, turning fear into blame.
They're turning against us, Father. The town thinks we're holding back on purpose.
They hated us already. Now they're just afraid. Fear makes men cruel.
Inside the cellar, the crocks continued their slow, bubbling work. John watched them with a quiet certainty. John remained an island of preserved food in a sea of frozen failure. The town's resentment simmered, but no one yet dared cross his threshold. The northern sky darkened with a weight that old men recognized. A blizzard was coming, one the valley hadn't seen in 30 years.
Reeves got lucky, nothing more. His cellar is a bit warmer than most. Croft's goods has enough preserves to feed the town for months.
Stephen's voice carried through the store, and the townsfolk clung to his assurance.
Please listen. This storm will freeze your cellars to the core. You need to find another way.
Stephen says he'll keep us fed. You just want us to eat that rot like you do. Go away, girl.
Anna turned away, the weight of their disbelief heavy on her shoulders. Inside the farmhouse, John stacked firewood and checked the cellar one last time. The Crocks hummed with quiet life.
We're as ready as we can be. Now the storm decides the rest.
No one will listen, Father. They trust Stephen's shelves more than our word.
Outside, the first flakes began to fall, and the wind rose. John stood at the window, watching the storm gather force, the cellar full and waiting. The blizzard swallowed the valley. Snow rose past the windows, and the wind screamed for 3 days without pause.
The crocks are still bubbling. The fermentation doesn't need warmth, just shelter from freezing.
The town is buried. I can't even see the road from here.
I can't sell more than a single jar. The roads are closed, and my shelves are running bare.
But my children are hungry. You promised we'd have enough.
All across town, root cellars had frozen solid. Families who buried their harvest found only blocks of ice.
The town will starve, Father. Stephen's shelves won't last the month.
We can't feed the whole town. Our crocks are enough for us, but they're not a bottomless well.
John and Anna ate a quiet supper of fermented kraut, the tangy flavor a reminder that their cellar still lived while the world outside was frozen. The storm howled on, and the town waited, unaware that the only lasting food lay beneath a farmhouse on the edge of town. Anna pulled on her coat and stepped into the white silence, a jar of fermented pickles tucked in her pocket. The town was a ghost of itself, buried under drifts. But Stephen's store was open, crowded with desperate faces.
I told you, I have nothing left. What do you expect me to do?
My child is too weak to stand. Please, anything.
A child sat against the wall, hollow-eyed. Anna knelt and pressed the jar into small, trembling hands.
Eat this. It's not rot. It's food that will keep you alive.
Get that filth out of my store. You are poisoning them with your madness.
It's not poison. It's the only food in this valley that hasn't frozen. You know it, and you are too proud to admit it.
Stephen's hand trembled on the jar, but he threw it back at her, the glass hitting the floor with a dull crack. Anna left without another word, the child's crying following her into the snow. The town's denial held, for now. That night, unable to forget the child's hollow eyes, Anna slipped into the cellar and lifted a heavy crock of fermented cabbage. She carried the crock through the dark snow to the Miller house, her breath hanging white in the frozen air.
Take this. It's food that will keep, but you must tell no one.
God bless you, Anna. We were down to our last handful of flour.
The family ate that night, and color returned to the children's cheeks. But secrets in a starving town never stay buried. 2 days later, John Reeves counted his crocks and found one missing. Then two.
Anna, we're missing crocks. Have you been in the cellar?
I gave them away, Father, to families with nothing. I had to.
You had no right. Those crocks are our survival.
John turned away, the weight of Anna's words pressing against his own stubborn pride. The cellar door closed behind him. The heavy cellar door groaned open, and Stephen Croft stared into a tomb of ice. His preserves, every last jar, shattered or frozen.
All my work, gone in a single freeze.
At the store, the shelves told the same story. Empty, hollow, a mockery of the plenty he'd promised.
You swore you'd have enough for the winter. My family hasn't eaten in 2 days.
I have nothing left to sell. The cold took everything. I am as hungry as you are.
Even the deepest cellars had become iceboxes. Stephen knew his own was no different, and the pass to the next valley was a wall of snow. In the storeroom, alone, he crouched over a frozen potato, biting into blackened rot because there was nothing else.
Rot. That's what I called Reeves' food. I'd trade my store for one of his crocks now.
Elder Marcus found him there, a shell of the boastful grocer, and his voice cut through the cold silence.
You told the town to trust you. Now we're all looking at an empty plate because you were too proud to admit a farmer was right.
Anna returned to the farmhouse, her heart heavy with the desperation she'd witnessed in town.
Father, I've seen the town. Children are growing too weak to walk. We have food. We must share it.
Share with the same people who called me a fool, who laughed at my work. Stephen Croft stood in the square and mocked me to my face. Now they want what they called rot.
I know they were cruel, but letting them starve won't undo those words. You taught me that food is life. Would you hoard life now?
John stared at the cellar door, the bubbling inside a quiet accusation.
They'd take our last jar if I opened that door. Is that what I want?
Then decide, Father, because every hour you wait, someone else won't wake up.
The silence between them stretched, filled only by the faint sound of fermentation. John had no answer yet. The storm stilled for a breath, and a gaunt figure stumbled through the drifts, guided by the faint lantern glow from the farmhouse window. A trembling hand knocked on the door of the man he'd mocked for months.
Stephen Croft, what do you want?
Reeves,
The proud grocer who had laughed at him in the square now stood shivering, unable to lift his eyes.
I have nothing. No food, no store. Please, I am begging you, just a bite of what you stored.
Behind John, Anna watched from the kitchen, her hand pressed to her mouth.
You called it rot. You mocked me before the whole town. Now you want it.
I was wrong. I'll say it to the whole town. Just, please.
The silence hung between them, the cellar's faint bubbling the only sound. John stared at the man who had humiliated him, now broken at his feet.
You called my kraut poison. You told the whole town I was letting good food rot on purpose.
I know. I have no excuse. I was a fool.
Father, listen to me. The Miller baby died last night. The shoemaker froze in his shop. How many more will we lose while you hold onto your anger?
She's right. But can I trust any of them after what they did?
You are not a cruel man. I've seen you nurse a sick lamb all night. Don't let hatred make you something you are not.
She's right, Reeves. I'll do anything. I'll work for every bite. Just let me live.
A month ago, I would have watched him starve. Now,
Please, Father. For me, prove them wrong by doing good.
John's jaw tightened, then slowly relaxed. He did not speak, but something behind his eyes had changed.
I'll open the cellar, but not without conditions. The whole town must learn this method. No more mocking what they don't understand. And you, Stephen Croft, will stand before the town and call it what it is. The food that saved them.
Yes, I'll do it. I'll say it from the town hall steps. Just please, let me eat.
Father, the cellar. The light is already warm.
John picked up the lantern and led the way, Stephen shambling behind, his pride exchanged for a desperate hope. The cellar door loomed ahead, a sturdy barrier between starvation and life.
Behind that door is everything I mocked. It's the only thing keeping me alive.
Anna, open it. Let him see what real food looks like.
Her hand closed on the cold iron latch, and the seal of the cellar began to crack, releasing the warm, living scent of fermentation into the winter night. The cellar door swung wide, and the gathered townsfolk froze, gasping at the sight of row after row of bubbling crocks, alive with fermentation.
This is the food I called rot. It's the only thing standing between us and the grave.
You'll eat, but every family will learn this method. No more relying on a freeze.
We were blind. Show us what to do.
John nodded once, the weight of his condition settling over the crowd. Food would be shared. But the old ignorance was finished. Anna retrieved the first crock of kraut and pressed it into the hands of the townswoman whose child had been starving.
How can we learn?
That's your first lesson. What you called rot saved us all.
Reeves has done what no one else could. We'll listen now.
The crowd parted as John led them into the warm, living storehouse, humbled and hungry, the first jars of fermented sustenance passing into trembling hands. Anna took over distribution with calm authority, guiding the starving into an orderly line outside the cellar.
Children and the elderly first. Everyone will get a day's ration, but we must be careful.
Stephen Croft appeared at Anna's side, his fine vest traded for a rough wool coat, and began carrying Crocks without a word.
It tastes sour, but it fills the belly. My boy is eating again.
Around the town, first bites of fermented cabbage were met with surprise. Tangy, alive, and deeply nourishing, a child, hollow-eyed the day before, smiled as she spooned kraut into her mouth. The first real food in over a week.
I called this filth. Now it's the only thing keeping my own hands from shaking.
A tear slid down Stephen's gaunt cheek as he ate. Anna said nothing, only refilled his bowl.
We'll need to start new batches soon. The Crocks won't refill themselves.
The cellar had become more than a storehouse. It was the beating heart of a town that had nearly frozen to death. Within a week, the worst of the hunger had passed. The kraut and pickles did more than fill bellies. They fended off the sickness that often followed famine.
The process is simple. Cabbage, salt, weight, and patience. The salt draws the juice and the brine protects from rot.
Hands once unused to such work began shredding cabbage with purpose. Stephen Croft had cleared his store shelves and set out salt, stones, and spare jars.
Use these tools. Anyone who wants a crock of their own can make it here. My store is now a workshop.
See? Enough salt to season, then pack it tight. The brine will come. Your family will never face a hungry winter again.
The lessons spread from the hall to the kitchens. Fermentation became more than a method. It became a shared purpose.
I never thought I'd see this town come together like this. The cold nearly broke us. But this might save our souls.
Outside, the snow still lay deep, but inside the community spaces, a new warmth took root.
I was the biggest fool of all. Now I am teaching what I mocked.
The Crocks multiplied. The laughter that had once mocked John now rose in shared effort. The sound of a town learning to survive together. By midwinter, John's original Crocks had been scraped to their last portions. The cellar that once held abundance now echoed with empty space.
This is the last of the kraut from autumn. Without the new batches, we'd be facing the same hunger as before.
In the back of Stephen's store, rows of new Crocks stood like sentinels, and John bent close to listen.
Listen, the first bubbles. This batch will be ready before the old ones run out.
A glass airlock in the center crock sent up a stream of bubbles, proof that the unseen work was still alive.
We'll have enough for weeks. The whole town is learning now. No one will ever call this rot again.
It has a sharper taste than the last, but my stomach thanks you, John. We'd be ghosts without this.
Father, the town would have died without those first Crocks. You gave them more than food. You gave them a future.
They'd have done the same for us. I hope, but I am proud of you. You pushed me to see what was right.
Outside, the blizzard raged on, but inside the farmhouse, the quiet knowledge that the worst had passed settled over them like a promise. The first thaw came with a dripping of icicles and the sound of water running beneath the snow. Winter's grip, at last, began to loosen. John's cellar, now mostly empty, stood as a monument to the winter that had nearly starved the valley. A few Crocks remained, still bubbling.
No one died of hunger this winter, John. Not one. That's your doing.
It wasn't just me. Anna pushed me to open the cellar, and Stephen helped when it mattered.
I was blind, John, but your rotting food saved my life and this town. I won't forget it.
Anna stepped forward and wrapped her arms around her father, her voice thick with emotion.
You did it, Father. The whole town is alive because of you.
The story rippled through the valley. Reeves' spoiled harvest had been the only food that kept. The old mockery turned to quiet respect.
They called it rot, but rot doesn't bubble. Rot doesn't nourish. It was life waiting in the dark.
As the snows receded, the cellar door stayed open, no longer a secret, but a promise that the valley would never face winter unprepared again. 1 week later, the town hall overflowed with families. Stephen Croft rose from the front row, his face thinner, but his voice steady.
I called John Reeves food rot. I was wrong. This town survived because of his wisdom. I stand here today to ask forgiveness and to promise change. From this autumn onward, every family will set aside a portion of their harvest for fermentation. John's cellar will be our model.
A murmur of agreement rippled through the hall. Hands began to rise in support.
I second the motion. Let it be law here. We prepare for winter with the method that saved us.
I never wanted a monument, I just wanted my neighbors to eat. But I am proud we found a way.
The vote was unanimous. The old mockery was dead. In its place stood a community united by a shared, life-giving craft. Afterward, Stephen clasped John's hand. Their stand together marked the end of a bitter rivalry.
We'll teach the next generation. No child should ever face what we nearly faced.
The town hall emptied into the spring light, the promise of new crocks already filling the workshops. When the feast of survival arrived, long tables lined the town square, groaning under platters of sauerkraut, pickles, and fermented relishes, the very foods once called rot.
This is the meal that proves we can endure. John Reeves, stand where we can see you.
John rose from his seat, Anna beside him, as the crowd erupted in applause.
We have a gift, John, from the town.
2 men lifted a heavy wooden sign onto the cellar door. The letters Reeves Fermentory, carved deep and painted in gold.
No more selling jams that freeze. From now on, Croft's Goods is the place for what keeps.
Stephen loaded new crocks onto a wagon, his store remade into a workshop of preservation.
Father, they'll remember this winter for 100 years, and they'll remember you.
Anna raised a glass of brine, a smile breaking across her face as the feast continued into the evening. The valley had changed. At the center of it all, a humble farmer who had filled his cellar with bubbling crocks. Summer came warm and easy. The town, once gaunt with hunger, filled with the sounds of normal life.
I want to record every recipe, cabbage, beets, even the pickles, so no one forgets.
John walked the main road, and now hats tipped toward him. The old jeers had been replaced by quiet nods of respect. A child ran up to him, holding a tiny crock. The boy's eyes were bright with curiosity.
Mr. Reeves, will you show me how to make the bubbles? Salt and cabbage. The rest is patience. You'll learn.
Anna's journal grew thick with notes, the science her father had trusted now written in her own hand.
They laughed at him. Now they ask him to teach. That's a kind of victory no feast can match.
John stood on the porch, looking out over the valley. The cellar door behind him, now bearing the sign, Reeves Fermentory. He was still the same quiet farmer. But the world had finally learned to listen. At dusk, John pulled the cellar door open. Cool air rose, thick with the scent of brine. He settled onto a crate beside the only crock still bubbling. That sound had been his only companion through the long winter. Steady, unchanged. From outside, children's laughter drifted in, bright and easy. John touched the cool crock lid, his calloused fingers tracing the rim. A faint smile crossed his face, the first the cellar had ever seen. He didn't need to speak. The bubble said everything. That cellar, once a lonely refuge, had become the heart of a valley that learned to preserve life. And through the open cellar door, summer light fell on the crocks, now silent but full of promise. John Reeves had filled his cellar with fermenting crocks. The coldest winter had starved the valley, but his rot fed them all.